Yeah, I know we've been sidetracked in this city a lot as it is, but there are a few more things we need to do before we can finally start the plot and get ready for the next gym. There's one final sector to this city we haven't quite explored yet, so I'm going to want to do that. And then there are a few things we need to do just before we go to the gym. After that, we'll finally start the plot. I think we'll actually need to buy a few more drinks as well, but that will be later. Anyway, this is the last street we haven't visited yet. There are quite a few places to enter here, so let's begin, shall we? Okay, this place, I don't quite want to go in there just yet, because that takes quite a while. There's a lot of talking to people in that place. So how about this? Oh yes, now the reason why I advanced that guy's text so quickly was because I actually had to talk to this guy several times, because the first time I went here I loaded the wrong save state and hadn't been to the battle company, so I actually didn't qualify for seeing enough Pokemon. So I guess that is one benefit of battle company. So anyway, the item this guy gives you is incredibly useful, especially in a challenge like this where your Pokemon won't evolve that often in the early game. Eviolite is a new item that multiplies the defense and special defense of an unevolved Pokemon by 1.5 times. Very, very useful, not just in-game, but even competitively. It makes a whole lot of middle-stage Pokemon actually quite competitively viable. And in some cases, like Dusclops, possibly even better than their evolved forms. I still think Eviolite Porygon 2 is just ridiculous. Now, we also have the Scope Lens, which increases critical hit ratio. Now, I normally don't really consider this a hacks item, simply because you can combo it with things like Focus Energy, like I'm doing there with Zork, or with high critical hit ratio moves. So yeah, Scope Lens, you actually can use some actual strategy with that. Now, on the upper floor here, there isn't really all that much to do. There's this guy. Why do you live in a big, tall skyscraper then? Okay, so this guy's going to tell you about the badges you get in the Unova region. Now, normally this would be kind of useful, except that with the way they've changed badges, this guy is pretty much pointless. Okay, that makes Pokemon up to level 20 obey you, this makes Pokemon up to level 30, this one makes Pokemon up to level 40. See the pattern? Yeah, every badge increases the level factor for obeying you with traded Pokemon by 10. Not only that, but none of the badges are required to use HM moves. You can in fact always use HM moves. So if you manage to trade another Pokemon with an HM move over to your game, you can actually still use that, regardless of how many badges you have. Yeah, we'll beat Nimbasa eventually. And we won't be doing the Pokemon musical, obviously. Seriously. 3rd gen contests were where it was at when it comes to minigames. Musical was just nowhere near as good. So, anyway, I think we should buy a bunch of drinks, so I'll cut that out. Lots of mashing of the A button later, and we now have, let's just check out our healing items, we now have 23 Soda Pops and 8 Lemonades. That should do us quite nicely for the gym. Now it's time to go right in here. This place leads to Route 4, which leads to Nimbasa City. Now we can't quite access these entire routes yet, but we can access just enough of it to catch a few new Pokemon, one of which will be of major help against the next gym leader. So basically, yeah, the Dark Sand is the desert's equivalent of grass, so if you want to find wild Pokemon, go in there. Now, there's actually a fair amount of this route you can explore at this point in the game, but for the time being, we're just gonna go ahead and get ourselves some Pokemon. You can actually go around here into this area, where you'll find a few trainers to battle. I'd recommend doing that in a normal playthrough for the extra experience, but for the time being, I'm not actually going to go there. I'm going to save that so I can show off the whole of Route 4 in one go. Now, I put my fastest Pokemon at the head of the party just so I can run from things I don't need. Now again, I need to make sure that I only catch the highest level Pokemon here, so I'll see you once I've found something useful. Ooh, wait, this could be something. Here we go. A level 17 Scraggy. Scraggy is kind of an interesting Pokemon. It's probably one of the... It's actually pretty cool, I will admit. Now, we don't want to use fighting moves because this thing is a dark and fighting type, meaning it'll be weak to, of course, yeah. That. You might think of dark and fighting as kind of an oxymoron type combination, but it's actually pretty decent. Scrafty in particular is kind of a favourite of mine with regards to new Pokemon. It's pretty weird in that it's quite bulky for a fighting type, and it makes really good use of bulk up. Now, of course, the problem with catching a Spraggy, though, is it's not immune to Sandstorm, unlike most of the things on this route, which means you're kind of on a timer when you're catching it. Fortunately, though, it's not too hard to catch, so I got this little thing. What do I name this? Well, it's a female punk thing. So, what should I call it? I think I'll name this one, seeing as it's female. Yeah, I'll name it Rhyme. Yeah, what can I say? I'm a huge fan of The World Ends With You. Right, I'll just cut to the next Pokemon we catch. I should probably mention now that since there's no dark grass on this route, the levels we're getting here are the highest we can get. And this Darumaka is going to be the highest one, and here we go. This is the thing you really want to pick up here. Now, there are a whole lot of people who seem to be in disbelief that you can actually get Darumaka before the 3rd gym. You can. You're completely unrestricted in where you can access, when you can access Route 4. So you can always get this thing the moment you arrive in Castalia, and seriously, it's a huge help against Burgh. It almost completely trivializes his gym, actually, which is why we need to catch it. Of course, Darumaka's ability is a bit of a double-edged sword. We'll talk about that once we actually start using her, but for the time being, it's great to know that we've got, you know, something that can really be really decent against the gym leader. We'll certainly be seeing a lot of her later on. So, yeah, this is a Darumaka, a fire type, and a pretty damn good one at that. Especially if you can actually evolve it and get a Dunmanitan. That thing is just freakishly strong, seriously. One of the highest attack stats on any Pokemon available in-game. Like, in the main story, basically. So I'm gonna name her Teehee, I think. Kind of a weird riff on its Evolution's Japanese name, which I always prefer to the English name, but I'll talk about that later. Right then, cut to black for a moment, because there's one more Pokemon I'd like to have before the next gym. I was thinking a flying type would be quite a good insurance policy against a lot of the things Burgh has. In fact, his strongest Pokemon is double weak to both fire and flying. I mean, not that that Darumaka is going to fail me, but in case it does, I'd like to have an insurance policy. Now, the best flying type I can get at this point is, I believe, a level 16 Pidove that can be found back in Pinwheel Forest. So, yeah, I'm going to have to go all the way back across Sky Arrow Bridge, back through the forest, and back there. So, right then, I'll just cut out all the travelling and just cut straight there. So, see you there. Funny. You wait hours for a level 17 Sork and then 2 show up at once. I think I need to run though, because this could get very, very dangerous otherwise. I'm not having a repeat of that old, unfortunate Sork incident I had before. Right, now another fade to black, because I was completely stupid at this point. Yeah, I spent ages searching in the grass, about maybe even 30 minutes, searching in the dark grass for a high-level Pidove in the outer part of Pinwheel Forest, not realizing that in fact the level 16 ones only show up in the inside of Pinwheel Forest. Derp! So I'll just cut back to when I stopped derping around and actually found something. And so finally, inside Pinwheel Forest, I find... and we've got a level 16 Pidove. This could be useful, especially when we actually check out what kinds of moves it has. You'll see in a moment. But for the time being, let's just weaken this to the point where, you know, even though you've growled me, I'm not going to take the risk. I think I'm just going to chuck a Pokeball right now. Regular Pokeball ought to do it. This thing's not exactly that hard to catch. Come on. Already derped enough tonight. And there, we now have a level 16 Pidove. So, this one could be somewhat useful. We don't get a Pokédex screen, obviously, because we already have this thing. And, yeah, now at first I was going to call this thing... I was kind of undecided on what to call this thing. At first I was going to call it... I almost called it Baby... And then I realised, wait, no, I should save that for the third thing I get. So I guess I'll call this one Little. Really, the first one should have been Little, the second one should have been Strawberry. I just didn't realise the theme. And suddenly we're back at Castelia Pokemon Center through the magic of editing. But, like I was saying, yeah, I didn't expect to have multiple Pidovs, so if I'd known, I would have named the first one Little, the second one Strawberry, and then me and Baby are gonna be the next two things I get. I'll probably get a Tranquil eventually, and if I'm lucky, maybe an Unpheasant in Rustling Grass. But for the time being, this is the main reason I caught this thing. Air Cutter. 55 power may not seem all that great, but it's got high critical hit ratio, and check out that ability. Yes, Super Luck does in fact stack with high critical hit ratio moves, and we just got a move that an item, sorry, that increases critical hit ratio even more. Yep, it's time for the Crit Death Machine, aka Swordmaster Pigeon build. Basically, we're going to give this thing a scope lens and hope for, Air Cutter, high critical hit ratio, Super Luck, scope lens. What could possibly go wrong? I'm going to be getting criticals left, right, and center with this thing. But I'll also put Teehee in. You'll see there, Teehee has Fire Fang, which is actually freakishly powerful by this thing's standards, because its attack stat is ludicrously high by the standards of unevolved Pokemon. The problem, though, with Darumaka is its ability. Hustle. Yeah, you know how before I've gone on about how luck can always screw you over and stuff in Pokemon games? Well, Hustle basically is just that in ability form. It multiplies the power of all your physical moves considerably, but it reduces accuracy to the point where a 100% accuracy move will only hit 80% of the time. And this is a pretty big deal because it means your normally reliable moves are now on the level of Stone Edge, and well, if you've played competitive, you know how often that tends to screw you over when you most depend on it. Yeah. I probably haven't had a chance to explain how Pokemon games actually use one random number, unlike Fire Emblem's 2, which means that the percentage accuracy of moves is a 100% accurate, no pun intended, indication of how accurate the move is going to be. A move says 80% accuracy, it will miss 20% of the time, whereas in Fire Emblem, they use two random numbers to promote higher hits hitting and lower hits missing. Pokemon doesn't do that, so in Pokemon you're more likely to see higher, even reasonably, like for example in Fire Emblem you can feel reasonably confident even with 75% accuracy. With Pokemon, definitely not. 75% accuracy is around the point where you start getting worried, actually. And any lower, and yeah, you've got problems. But anyway, now that we've actually done all that, I think we're pretty well prepared for the next gym. Unfortunately, we have some plot to attend to before we go there, so now finally we can head up this street. And yeah, just before we go into the gym, let's just talk to these people here first. Yeah, he's just saying how you'll get better Pokeballs once you actually start being able to buy stuff. Although to be honest, by the time Ultra Balls are available, the more powerful specialized balls are also available, and they're kind of more effective than Ultra Balls. Still nice to keep a few Ultra Balls on you at all times, though. You breaking the fourth wall there? Anyway, now I would like to draw your attention to this building. This building! Suspiciously completely empty, and it has an unattended elevator, and television, and desk, and unattended everything. It's also, yeah, completely and utterly empty. There's no one here at all. No one. At all. No one's here. Nothing to see here. Completely empty building. Totally not suspicious at all. Right then, let's move on. And once you attempt to enter the gym, plot is going to begin. Oh, hi Sharon. Please don't battle me. Oh, what? You've already challenged him? Will he make us work for that gym badge? Well, we'll see. Yeah, that's actually, yeah, bug types probably won't be that much of a challenge for me either. So, anyway, Charon's still on about his whole, I'm gonna be the best trainer ever, and I'm gonna be so strong, and I'm gonna... This is where he starts slightly creeping me out. Yeah. And now it's Burgh. We've already met this guy before, but anyway. And you're the one who took the main path and, yeah, made me do all the work. Unfortunately, he's not going to let us challenge the gym quite yet. We have some plot to attend to first. Yep, Team Plasma again. But I do kind of like it that they integrate the Team Plasma subplot kind of into the main plot as much as possible. Now, you actually can go into the gym if you want, but the gym guide is not going to let you through until you've completed this necessary plot. Now, where could Team Plasma possibly be hiding? Oh, I don't know. How about near that ominous black boat we saw earlier? So anyway, Bianca's here, and, oh, it seems like she's been the victim of a Team Plasma attack. And she's got a Muna since we last saw her, but unfortunately, yeah, this might be actually the very same Muna that you saw being kicked back then by Team Plasma, you never know. Now this, judging by the question marks in the name tag, is someone we've never met before. And, well, this is someone who I guess most people will know who they are. Yes, Burgh introduces her here as Iris. Now, Iris is a fairly interesting character in that she was actually first revealed to the public by her anime incarnation. And it wasn't even hinted at that she'd actually be a game character until, well, until the games even came out. There was a lot of speculation as to who Iris was. She turned out to be the 8th gym leader. But I'll talk about her later. Finding a personal Pokemon here in Castelia City is going to be like, yeah. Unless that person suddenly comes up and walks up to you like a complete derp. And this line coming up is one of my favourite in the game. Rethinking... I love that. Regular grunts and villainous teams always have great dialogue. So anyway, looks like Iris is going to be Bianca's bodyguard for the time being, and that's a pretty good thing, given that Iris is, slight spoilers, an 8th gym leader. Now, given that this is Black version, we're actually not going to be battling her. So, don't worry, we will battle her in the Unova duology, just not for a long time. But we will battle her eventually, just not in this game. I'll just avoid spoilers for the time being. But anyway, Iris is in fact a version-specific gym leader, so if you're playing White version, then you'll actually end up battling her in the 8th city. But if you're playing Black, then you'll instead battle someone else. There's very little difference between her and the other guy, but anyway, just pointing it out that unfortunately we're not going to see Iris battle in this playthrough, so yeah. Don't know why, but it's just the thing is there's a lot of playthroughs on YouTube mostly do White version, probably because Zekrom is much more popular in America than in Japan. So I thought I'd do Black for a change of pace. So, anyway, you might want to heal before going up this street. Spoilers, we're obviously going to be in for a battle, and oh look, it's that suspiciously empty building from before. Yeah, that totally wasn't suspicious. But, anyway, you probably don't need that much healing, though. Oh, right, and of course, classic villainous team grunt stupidity here. Nope, definitely no 7 sages in here. And we're also definitely not villains. You have thoughts? Really? In other words, that's kind of code speak for, I am a gigantic coward. Yeah, now, when this guy, yeah, he seems like a pathetic coward, right? And if you were thinking he'd be pathetic in battle, well, you'd be, well, you'll see. Now, I actually could have got a Sandile back at that last route. I guess I'll say this now. The reason I didn't catch one is because Sandile will actually be useful to us later on, just not now. Sandile will be helpful for the 4th gym. So, and before the 4th gym, we'll have access to Sandiles of a slightly higher level. So I'm waiting for one of those. I just don't want to catch one before then, otherwise, you know, I don't want to catch one Sandile and have to leave it behind when I catch another one. So yeah, I'll be getting a Sandile just later for the 4th gym. Oh look, another one. Hey, I wonder if this is going to be just like the last Sandile. Swift double kick to the part of your back, it looks like. And yeah, so this guy was as pathetic as he seemed. Yeah, this battle is like ridiculously easy. Even easier if you manage to level up your Pokemon. And all you did was steal people's Pokemon. I just love how these guys try and excuse themselves for theft like that. Oh, here we go. Here's a really classic line coming up right here. Plasbad has become something of an internet meme, or something of a minor meme. Just yeah, Team Plasma just has their own vocabulary, don't they? So. Later on, you'll find out why Iris tends to get lost in the city so much. Yeah, Iris is not really from around the city, and she doesn't really spend much time in, big, busy cities like this. You actually don't find out Iris's full story, really, until, oh, hey, she's gonna fight with us. That's pretty good, considering that she's an 8th gym leader. Oh, and of course we're gonna come to. So, let's... Oh wait, we can enter there at our leisure. Now don't worry about having a battle on your hands. There's no battle here, just plot. Now this begs the question, just where were these 3 guys hiding? And look, it's definitely not a villain from before. And the totally not ominous music. Ooh. Oh, they better have Bird Heal for that. Oh yes, and this is another one of the sages who, unfortunately, has a fairly unintentionally hilarious name. I know it's supposed to be from Brown, but seriously, Bronius... Yeah, nowadays you'd expect him to battle you with a team of 6 Rapidashes. Which, admittedly, would be pretty hilarious, and I would like to see that happen. But, anyway, here's some exposition and plot, basically. So, I guess I don't really have much to say about this. Just that it'll obviously become important later. You know, lore of JRPGs. All legends and prophecies are 100% accurate and will come true sometime in the future. That's actually only half the legend. We'll see the other half later on. Bring back the hero, that implies they have someone in mind. Just who is this? Well, most people already know, but I won't spoil it. And there we go, there's the line where, there's a considerable slip-up, but, I won't say, I've got nothing to say about that for the time being. I guess I can kind of relate to this, given that, I live in Australia, which is a pretty multicultural society. And here we go with the whole, taking other people's Pokemon is wrong thing. Yeah, I'm not sure if that, I mean, certainly, things would be awesome in real life if you could do that, but, can't really do that in real life at the moment. And yeah, this thing actually does show that, Team Plasma does kind of have a point, and their whole, you know, Pokemon rights activism is actually not bad. It's just that they are kind of hypocrites with how they act. They don't, again, really practice what they preach, so to speak. So yeah, I still think Team Plasma is probably one of the most interesting group of antagonists in the series. Well, if not the most interesting. I'm sorry, I just did not feel it for Team Galactic. Just, I couldn't... Okay, that's interesting. Anyway, I just couldn't really engage with them as villains when the Grunts had no idea what they were doing and Cyrus was just a generic destroy-the-world villain. He's not going to tell us who the king is just yet. And yeah, the term Seven Sages actually has a bit of significance in the original Japanese, but it's a kind of Asian philosophy thing, I'll just say that much. But at least they're actually going to return the Pokemon to her. Where exactly were they keeping that? Most people think they were sort of hiding it under their shirt or something like that. But anyway, they've actually given that Luna back. I really hope they haven't gone ahead and taught it a whole bunch of stupid TM moves just to troll her. Actually, I can think of some... anyway. Yes, good thing they didn't kick this one. So, yeah, we've basically got Team Plasma's goal there. Not much to say about that. And Iris is still as hyper as anything. And... Wait. Him letting them get away? Iris, you're the 8th gym leader. You're the one who's got, like, level... What? Like in the 40s? You seriously could take them. Well, maybe you couldn't take some of them, but still. So, yeah, everything's all fine and dandy. Bianca got her Pokemon back. We only had one incredibly pathetic battle. So essentially, we had to put our gym adventure on hold just for one very brief battle and a bit of exposition. And what's everyone planning to do now? Well, I'm planning to challenge you, of course. And Bianca still hasn't looked around. Okay, just to warn you, you're going to get sidetracked here a lot. You're going to be spending a long time here. And Iris is going to be a bodyguard, despite the fact that Iris has no sense of direction whatsoever and is going to get Bianca completely lost. But I guess, yeah, having the 8th gym leader as your bodyguard is pretty good. So yeah, this explains why Iris isn't exactly as at home in the big city, really. Bianca will kind of have to help her find a way around. We won't really be seeing as much of Iris later on. And also, yeah, here we go. Iris is going to give us a Yachi Berry, which would be useful if we, actually had Dragon types. You probably want to save this one for actual competitive, because that way it actually won't be, well, they're enthusiastic. So anyway, he'll be waiting at the gym, and it looks like that's the next place we should go. So, I'll see you next time when we take on Castelia Gym. But first, we should just pick up this item that wasn't here before. The Smoke Ball lets you always escape from a wild Pokemon battle if your lead Pokemon is holding it, so that can be pretty useful. So, yeah, that's basically all there is to this part, and I'll see you next time when we take on the gym.